The fluorescent lights of Titan, Tower's executive, floor hummed their monotonous tune as Marcus Chen pushed his cleaning cart down the marble hallway. His shoulders ached from the double shift, but he couldn't afford to slow down. Not when Emma's college tuition payment was due next month. Not when being both mother and father to a brilliant 18-year-old meant working 2 jobs and surviving on 4 hours of sleep. His daughter didn't know about the second job, the one that started at midnight after he finished here. She thought her scholarship covered everything. Some lies, Marcus had learned, were acts of love. The executive conference room still glowed with light at 9:30, unusual for a Thursday evening. Through the glass walls, Marcus could see them. The quarterly board meeting running late. Powerful men and women in tailored suits worth more than his annual salary. At the head of the table sat Richard Blackwell, the billionaire, CEO whose face graced magazine covers and whose name appeared on hospital wings. Marcus had cleaned Blackwell's office for 3 years and had never received more than a dismissive nod. Marcus kept his head down, entering quietly to empty the trash bins. The meeting continued as if he were invisible, which was how he preferred it. Invisibility was a janitor's superpower. Strength, Blackwell's voice boomed, addressing a young executive who'd apparently disappointed him. You want to talk to me about strength? You think working 60-hour weeks makes you strong? He laughed, a sound like ice cracking. Real strength is what I have. The strength to make billion-dollar decisions. The strength to hold thousands of jobs in my hands. The strength to build an empire. The room fell silent with uncomfortable agreement. Marcus continued his work, emptying a bin near the corner. Excuse me, Blackwell suddenly said, his voice dripping with condescension. You there, janitor? Marcus straightened, meeting Blackwell's eyes for the first time in 3 years. Yes, sir? You've been listening to our conversation about strength. Tell me. Blackwell leaned back in his leather chair, a cruel smile playing at his lips. What would you know about real strength? You push 'em up for a living. You take orders. You clean up after your betters. Would you say you're a strong man? Several board members shifted uncomfortably. One woman looked away, but no one spoke up. Marcus felt heat rise in his chest, not from anger, but from something deeper. He thought of Emma, of her acceptance letter to MIT that made her cry with joy. He thought of the nights he'd held her after his wife died, promising her the world when he barely had enough for next week's groceries. He thought of every sacrifice he'd made gladly, every exhaustion he'd worn like armor. May I speak freely, sir? Marcus asked quietly. Blackwell gestured magnanimously, clearly expecting entertainment. By all means. Marcus set down his trash bag and stood tall, all 5'7" of him facing the 6'2" billionaire. When he spoke, his voice was steady, each word carefully chosen. You're right, Mr. Blackwell. I do push a mop. I clean toilets. I empty your trash bins and scrub the floors you walk on without a second thought. And yes, I take orders. I've taken orders every day for 20 years because that's what providing for my daughter requires. But strength? Marcus paused, and something in his eyes made the room go completely still. Let me tell me what I know about strength. Strength is working 16-hour days with a smile because your child deserves better than what you had. Strength is watching your wife die of cancer because you couldn't afford experimental treatment, then getting up the next morning to pack your daughter's lunch for school. Strength is telling your 8-year-old that mommy's in heaven while your own heart is shattered into pieces you'll never fully put back together. Blackwell's smile had vanished. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Marcus continued, his voice never rising, never breaking. Strength is wearing the same 3 shirts for 5 years so your daughter can have new clothes for school. It's pretending you're not hungry so she can have seconds. It's learning to braid hair from YouTube. Videos at 45 years old because your little girl still needs someone to make her pretty for picture day. A female board member quietly wiped her eyes. Strength, Mr. Blackwell, is sacrificing everything. Your sleep, your health, your pride, your dreams, and never once letting your child see you break. It's teaching your daughter that her worth isn't measured in dollar signs while cleaning the offices of people who'll never know her name. It's raising a young woman so brilliant and kind that she got into MIT with a full academic scholarship, and having her thank you for giving her everything when the truth is, she's the only thing that kept you breathing after her. Mother died The silence in the room was absolute. Marcus picked up his trash bag, his hands completely steady. You asked what I know about strength. I know that real strength isn't about controlling people or making billion-dollar decisions. Real strength is measuring success by the smile on your child's face, not the balance in your bank account. It's knowing that when I die, probably early from this pace I keep, I'll leave behind one person who knows she was loved unconditionally. Can you say the same, sir? Marcus walked toward the door, then turned back one final time. I've cleaned your office for 3 years. Mr. Blackwell, I've seen the photos on your desk change. Different women. Never the same one twice. I've emptied the bottles that you think the night janitor doesn't notice. I've read the court documents from your children's lawsuits that you leave scattered on your desk. You have 4 children who won't speak to you. You have billions of dollars. And an office full of people, too. Afraid to tell you the truth. So yes, you have a different kind of strength than me. But I wouldn't trade places with you for all the money in this building. He nodded respectfully. Have a good evening, everyone. The door clicked shut behind him, and Marcus continued down the hallway, his cart's squeaky wheel echoing through the silence. His hands were shaking now, adrenaline finally hitting. He'd probably be fired by morning. He'd have to find another job, explain the gap in employment. But as he pushed the cart onto the service elevator, Marcus realized he felt lighter than he had in years. The elevator doors opened on the ground floor, and Marcus nearly collided with Richard Blackwell standing there, still in his suit, slightly out of breath. I took the express elevator, Blackwell said awkwardly. I needed to... He stopped, seeming to struggle with words for perhaps the first time in decades. What's your daughter's name? Emma, Marcus said carefully. Emma Chen. Blackwell pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. MIT, you said? Full academic scholarship? What's she studying? Biomedical engineering. She wants to make cancer treatment affordable for families like ours. Marcus's voice caught slightly on those last words. Blackwell nodded slowly, still typing. When he looked up, his eyes were different, something human breaking through the billionaire facade. My daughter was named Catherine. She was brilliant, too. I missed her high school graduation for a merger, her college graduation for an acquisition, her wedding because I was on a yacht in Monaco with people whose names I don't even remember now. He swallowed hard. She sent me an invitation to meet my grandson last year. I sent my assistant with a check. Catherine returned, it with a note that said she'd rather he never know me than learn what success without humanity looks like. The lobby was empty except for the 2 of them, the city lights glittering through the glass walls. You asked if I could say someone knew they were loved unconditionally. Blackwell continued. The answer is no. I can't say that. I've spent 30 years building an empire, and I'm standing here realizing I've built a tomb. He handed Marcus a business card with handwritten numbers on it. That's my personal cell phone, the one nobody has. I want to offer Emma a summer internship at Blackwell Pharmaceuticals, in our research division. Full pay, real responsibility. And I'd like to fund a scholarship for other students like her, children of service workers who deserve the same chance. Marcus stared at the card, then at Blackwell. Why? Because you're right. About all of it. And because maybe if I can help Emma, some small part of Catherine might forgive me. Maybe I can learn what real strength looks like before it's too late. Blackwell's voice cracked. I can't get those years back with my children, but maybe I can make sure fathers like you don't have to choose between being present and providing. Maybe that's something. 3 months later, Emma Chen walked into Blackwell Pharmaceuticals as their youngest summer research intern. The program that started with her grew into an annual scholarship for 50 students from working-class families. Richard Blackwell never made it to the cover of magazines after that. But he made it to his grandson's 3rd birthday party. Catherine wasn't ready to forgive him entirely, but she was ready to let him try. And Marcus Chen, still a janitor at Titan Tower because he loved the simple dignity of his work, received a raise that meant he only needed one job. On Emma's graduation day 4 years later, he sat in the audience wearing a new suit that Blackwell had insisted on buying him, tears streaming down his face as his daughter crossed the stage. After the ceremony, Emma ran to him first, not to the CEO sitting in the VIP section. I love you, Dad, she whispered into his shoulder. You gave me everything. Marcus held his daughter close, thinking of his wife. knowing she could see this moment somehow. Real strength, he'd learned, wasn't measured in dollars or deals. It was measured in moments like this, in the tears of joy, in the unconditional love, in the legacy of a good heart passed from one generation to the next. That was the kind of wealth that truly mattered. That was the kind of strength that changed the world.